Hi. Hello. Viewers, listen. I don't know. I gotta get myself together. I just realized we were on mute for a whole minute. OMG.
This is a Monday. This is truly a Monday.
Oh my goodness. Listen, viewers, welcome to the Green Table Live Talk Show. It is Monday. It is 6 p.m. We are here. We're present. We're with you now. Let me know if you can hear us and see us okay in the chat. Because listen, I was in there. I was doing it. My. So, listen, we've been having some great discussion here on the Green Table Live Talk Show. So, if you don't, make sure you have on your notifications because it's been hot. It's been hot here on the Green Table, and we've been having some great topics, some great discussions, great guests, all the things.
Yes.
So listen, come on in. Make sure you have your notifications on because we're doing it. We're doing some things here. So welcome.
Yes. And our only request is that you share.
Yep.
Share.
Tag your people. Listen, if they are a caregiver, will be a caregiver, they need to be in the room. They need to be a part of this community because we give away resources.
Yeah.
Free. Let me add free. Everybody love free stuff. So spread the word. It's free resources. How you can, as a caregiver, an upcoming caregiver, soon to be caregiver, know how to navigate, how to take care of your loved one, where to go, what to do when the time comes to help keep your loved one in their home or community longer. So I kind of doing things in reverse tonight, but hey, it's all good. That's why we do what we do here on the Green Table Live Talk Show. So please, again, invite, share, tag anyone that you feel would benefit from what we talk about here on the Green Table. So,
That's right.
Without further ado, I am Jessica Wright.
And I'm Ishonda Blue.
And we are your co-hosts of the Green Table Live Talk Show, and we are your senior care experts. So again, I just welcome you to the Green Table Live Talk Show. We always have new viewers on every single Monday we come. So I would just like to shout out our veteran viewers, our viewers that come on every Monday. Hello. And to our new viewers, welcome to the Green Table again. And Ishonda is going to tell you a little bit about who we are.
Just a little bit, guys. Just a little bit about us. We are your sisters. We are registered nurse. We are your senior care experts. We've been doing this now for a combined 40-something years. We started our business in 2007 doing home care. Our grandmother told us she didn't want to go to a nursing home. She was our very first client. And our mission is to improve the lives of seniors by preventing them from going to a nursing home, which is how the Green Table started. Yes. So anyway, that's just a little bit about us. We are your number one choice for adult daycare. And if you want to learn more about that, you can talk to us later.
All right. So listen, today's topic is Alzheimer's Association. So we've been doing a lot of talk about dementia, Alzheimer's, the tips, things that you need to know. And so we wanted to bring on another special guest that can help us do a deeper dive, because I'm telling you, every time we do a live on Alzheimer's, dementia is very hot topic. We get a lot of response, a lot of comments. And so we just wanted to take a deeper dive on this evening. And so I'm going to welcome our special guest, Miss Elizabeth. She is the program manager of the Alzheimer's Association, and she's just going to share with us some strategies, some tips of taking care of family members living with Alzheimer or dementia. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up Miss Elizabeth to the stage.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Well, let's just start off let's tell our viewers a little bit about who you are, what you do at the Alzheimer's Association, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I'm Elizabeth Roch. I'm the program manager for South Georgia for the Georgia chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. That just means that I'm in charge of community education and support groups for South and West Georgia. We cover the whole state. There's counterparts like me in the other parts of the state. And Alzheimer's is a national association. We're just the Georgia chapter.
Awesome. So we're excited for you to join us on tonight. Last week, we had some conversations about social isolation and how that's a big contributor to cognitive decline. And we talked about some things that they could do at home to care for someone who just, refused to leave the home, right? It could attend a day center or whatever. But we had a question from one of the viewers, and it was like, can you please talk about interventions or something we can do to help with our loved one who has dementia, Alzheimer's, and we're having trouble getting her dressed. And I'm sure you probably got all kind of top 5 questions related to caring for someone at home with Alzheimer's, dementia, and how to navigate that process. Can we start with that first question? If you're taking care of someone with Alzheimer's, dementia at home, and you're having problems, they're probably refusing, they might be fighting, but they're having problems getting them dressed. What would you say to that?
Yeah, without knowing the specific person, we find that the challenges with getting dressed and changing clothes fall for one of 3 main reasons. One of them is that it's just not the time they want to change. Maybe it's convenient for us. Maybe it's we're used to them getting changed first thing right when they get out of bed. When I get out of bed, I like to get right out of my pajamas and put on fresh clothes. Other people I know love to linger in their pajamas and will be in their pajamas all day. And my husband knows how I like to get changed now, and I know how he is. He lingers in his pajamas all day. And so I would expect him to not want to get dressed right away. But as we age, and Alzheimer's can change our personality some, that may no longer be the case. I may no longer want to change right away. I might not have that energy or that desire to get right out of my sleep clothes and into fresh clothes. And so trying to gauge, and if you can, sometimes it's challenging with appointments, if you can schedule them at better times of the day, or just needing to get up and get out yourself, I understand. And so if you're able to work with when that individual would like to get changed, makes it a lot easier. Okay. That's one. 2 is the lack of independently being able to dress themselves. As the brain deteriorates, one of the things that individuals are unable to do is use fine motor skills. And so buttons, clasps, zippers become very challenging. There are many lines of clothing. Target was one of the biggest national ones to do it. And many have followed suit to make adaptive clothing that doesn't necessarily just look like sweatpants and sweatshirts and those sorts of things. They still look like fashionable that you can integrate in. It is buying new clothes, and that's challenging, and there is a cost to that. But slowly cycling out items that have those buttons, zippers, and clasps can make it easier for someone to still get dressed independently and still have that, as opposed to needing to be dressed or the assistance in dressing.
I'm sorry, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
You know, if I've been under a rock, why I didn't know about the adaptive clothing. Did you know about that, Jessica?
Well, I didn't know like they had it in like stores, but I would just suggest clothes with
like jogging pants,
drawstrings and things of that nature. But now it's more up to date.
Yeah.
This is good information.
Yeah, they've made clothing that'll appear like not necessarily house clothes. Of course, with COVID, we've all gotten more acceptable of joggers being worn out and that athleisure wear, which is much easier for anyone to get on and off, of course. But no, even right as COVID was starting in 2018, 2019, Target made an adaptive clothing line. So they look like khakis or jeans, and they'll even look on the front as if they have a zipper or a button, but there are none. There's Velcros hidden in, or it is those elastic waists.
Wow. I can remember when we were taking care of our grandmother, and like really towards the last couple of years, like we would put, I don't know if that's the right term, I'm gonna call them house dresses. But it was because they were big and roomy and it was easy to slip on and take off. So this is really good information.
Yeah. And then the third thing is what also happens is individuals with Alzheimer's and other dementias will forget that they're getting old and they won't recognize themselves in a mirror, just as they don't recognize loved ones. Sometimes they don't recognize themselves either. And so what sometimes happens is if you have a mirror in the space that they're getting changed, they see the person in the mirror, they do not recognize it as themselves, and they think it's a stranger. And most people do not like to get naked in front of strangers. And so they will not want to undress because there's a stranger in the room. Not necessarily you, which could also be it if they don't recognize you as their care partner anymore, but also if there's any mirrors. So if it's possible to remove mirrors from the changing space, that can sometimes help as well.
Wow. Now, viewers, tell me, this is good. This is good to me. I mean, we have been caregiving, nursing, all the things, and these tips were really good.
There's definitely new advances, and in fact, we're working with Elizabeth on offering a caregiving course, and I'm gonna probably get back in it so I can get up to date on all the tips and how to really so we can help people. So we'll hopefully that's going to be coming out soon. And I can't wait for us to be able to offer that for people in the community.
So listen, viewers, we want you all to get in on the conversation. So please, in the chat, put your questions. I actually tagged Lisa from our last Monday. She's the one who asked the question, so I tagged her. I hope you're on, Lisa. If not, you'll catch it on the replay. But listen, come in, ask your questions. We have an expert here. And so, Alicia, she got all the updates, all the trends now that you can do to help take care of your loved one.
Yeah. I wanted to add one more. Well, those were your top three?
Those are the three most common reasons we see, again, not knowing the specific individual as to why what appears to be the challenge of getting changed. Those are the three most common that we see of challenging behaviors around getting changed.
Yeah, if I could add one, is that sometimes they're in pain and they don't know how to verbally communicate that they're hurting, or they may have arthritis or whatever the case may be. And if you just go to just, get their arm up or go ahead and just trying to do the task, that could be some challenges there. And so I've even seen they recommend that you maybe, I don't know what their medication routine is, but just, Advil or ibuprofen or Tylenol or something an hour before you're getting ready, hour to 30 minutes before you're getting ready to do that task may help. But just know that could also be a main issue.
That's correct.
Getting them pressed.
All right. So listen, hi, Lisa. Lisa is on. So if you have any specific questions, Lisa, that you need answered, please, by all means, put it in the chat. Hello, Miss Gussie. Hello, Mel. Listen, talk to us in the chat, and so we can shout you out. And so we have some viewers in there. They're chiming in saying this is great information to start off, and that we have caregivers in the room. So we got the right people in the room.
So Elizabeth, tell us what else. What is another frequently asked question related to caring for someone with Alzheimer's and dementia at home?
Another major challenge is around eating, and that there's so many factors that come into eating. And part of it is losing that independence to be able to make your own food. And so one simple thing to do in your kitchens is to make pictures of what's in the cabinets. So it still allows that independence for the individual to get themselves a cup of water or get themselves a plate to put a snack on. There's tons of templates online because, not to be terrible in infantiles, it's also used for infants and toddlers often to put pictures on, and just individuals who struggle mentally with nonverbal and such. So there's tons of free resources online to be able to find them and print them out. at home. You do not have to go and reinvent the wheel. You do not have to go and spend tons of money on it besides the printing. And attach them to your cabinets can still instill that independence longer, because they don't have to remember what cabinet the cups are in, and they don't have to get frustrated looking for the cups or the spoons every single time, because there's the pictures that they can match. They know what a cup looks like. They can get the cup out. Another thing with that is, and this is common in many dementias, not just Alzheimer's, is that depth perception, because of how the brain receives the information from the eye. Depth perception is one of the first things to have challenges and go. And so there's nothing wrong with a meal of chicken and mashed potatoes, but maybe don't put it on a white plate, because individuals with dementia won't be able to see the depth, and it'll just all be white, and it'll look like their plate is empty to them and there's no food. So if you are having chicken and mashed potatoes, which I do love, put it on a red plate or a blue plate so they see the white food on a different colored plate. So just something like that is very easy and will help them in being able to still be able to feed themselves and see their food. Again, as fine motor decreases, because that again affects all dementias as the brain unfortunately deteriorates. Making the food, again, not to infantiles, but to make it smaller bites so that they don't have to do as much cutting on the plate and as much as you're comfortable with them finger feeding, to be able to have that independence to feed themselves longer. Yes, it'll make a mess. Yes, we have to clean it up, but it still allows them to be independent and have some pride.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Very good.
So I want to just shift gears just a little bit. I know we've been talking about how to take care of our loved ones, but we also have caregivers here on. And so I want you to, what advice do you have for caregivers who are struggling with the emotional and physical demands of caring for a loved one with Alzheimer's or types of dementia, different types?
As much as you can, find that support outside of the home. It's great if you can have other family or friends help in caring for that loved one, whether it be a spouse or a sibling or a neighbor. That's wonderful. But also finding that outside where you still get to be an individual, where your whole identity is not tied to caregiving. Also, of course, I have to promote the Alzheimer's Association does have support groups across the nation that meet in person. And if there's not one in your area, there are some that meet virtually online. But we do have support groups that meet monthly across the nation for you to go, and you can hear tips like this from other care partners each month, and those are free and accessible. But make sure you have something that still holds on to your identity, because you are a person besides just a care partner. Whether you're still working or not, you have some sort of hobby or other interest. If you can go and find a book club or a knitting group. I say those things because I love both those hobbies. I read and I crochet. There's no judgment of age in those hobbies. But if it's a walking club or a puzzling group, whatever, I'm just listing my hobbies and sharing them at this point. But if there's any group like that you can be a part of your church, if you can get in a small group that allows you to not have to be known as just a care partner, somewhere that people are not just going to ask, how's your mom? How's your husband? How's whoever it is that you're caring for? But they just ask, how are you? That really can fill yourself up. And even if it's just 1 hour every 2 weeks or something, gives you something to look forward to, you can keep up with. And that really, we find, helps care partners and caregivers with their emotional and journey themselves.
Yes, that was great, because listen, we have caregivers, they're tuning in, whether they're currently a caregiver now or they will be in the future. They need tips and ways to be able to take care of themselves so they can be a great caregiver for their loved one. And so I love the tips. Please make sure I'm going to throw out some things. I'm going to do some plugs here. We have an Alzheimer's association meeting where we have partnered with the Alzheimer's group in Albany. There are
second Thursdays of every month. So at our Adult Day Center in Albany, we have partnered again with the Alzheimer's Association for a location. And I think they have 2 locations they're doing it at in Albany, but we have one as well. And again, it's the second Thursday of every month at 4 p.m.
Yes. And we are a resource, Innovative Senior Solutions Adult Day, for respite. If you need, you need that time. We have both been caregivers, been on both sides of the fence, and you need that respite, that time to just say, self-care, whatever the case may be. Please take advantage of places like that where you can get respite care, overnight, day respite, all the things. So
Yeah, yeah. And this is huge too, Jessica. Just to talk about, we are going to be offering overnight respite. We don't do this often. We're going to be doing it a few times through the summer so people can take summer vacation. So please be looking out for those dates where we offer overnight stay for respite.
And let me go ahead and drop it now. It's going to be May 21st through May 27th. That'll be our first summer time overnight respite that you all can take advantage of. Please reach out to us. You can DM us. You can call us. Reach out through the website. However, if you know someone who needs out-of-home respite, we can definitely provide that.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, Elizabeth. So back to the matter at hand. So we talked about some tips on if you're helping someone get dressed. We talked about if they're not eating. And I think large portions is a big deal too. I think you hit that. Now give us another tip. Let's do one more tip of frequently asked questions of someone taking care of someone with Alzheimer's or dementia at home.
Well, if you don't mind, DeShonda, sorry, I will definitely give one more tip. I won't withhold, don't worry. But I did see Lisa asked a question about putting on multiple sets of clothing. And so because this also happens in that, in Georgia, we don't have too much varied weather, but I did see someone's up from Connecticut and it is still real cold up there. My family's from New England. And so I know it's still cold. And so sometimes as dementia progresses, they won't understand and they'll want to wear summer clothes in the winter or winter clothes in the summer, or like Lisa shared, they'll put on multiple sets of clothing, and that's really challenging. And so as much as you can, put away some of the clothes in totes and store them somewhere. So definitely store out of season clothing. It's challenging in the winter because you might want to offer them to wear layers like a t-shirt under a sweater and they just want to put on the t-shirt. Maybe at that point you might have to put away t-shirts and they can only have long sleeve tees. It does get challenging in aspects like that. But as much as you can put away out of season clothing in totes and away from where they can access it, that's great. But even with the multiple sets of clothing, if you can reduce how many clothes they have access to, so whether that's putting it in someone else's dresser or someone else's closet and switching it, so you don't have to do laundry twice as much. You do have to go into the drawers twice as much to refill it with the other clothing. But if they have less access to clothing, they will most of the time recognize that they only have about 4 shirts. So they're not going to put on all of their shirts because they need shirts for tomorrow. For some reason, that rationalization will often stay in place. And it's something that we don't quite understand, but they won't put on all of it if there's then nothing left most of the time. Again, if that doesn't help, you can definitely call our helpline and they can give additional resources. I'll give the helpline number at the end for sure. But that's one of the big tips we've seen if they are putting on, because if someone has access to 12 shirts, they have no problem putting on 3. And again, not quite sure why, but that is a common thing. So another, and I know y'all said you were talking about this last week, and so I hope I'm not repeating too much. But you're talking about socialization and the challenge with not leaving the house. And part of that also is just general boredom that'll happen because different forms of dementia do affect the brains differently. But one of the challenges is actually watching TV. A common hobby that we all have, chilling at night, putting on standard cable or Netflix or what have you, ends up becoming a challenging hobby with dementia.
Wow.
Yeah, and so whether it can impact, because some forms of dementia will have people not be able to tell the difference between fiction and reality anymore. And some, it'll then infiltrate their brains so deep that it super impacts their dreams and they can't tell the difference between dream and reality either. Also, other forms of dementia is just that lack and struggle of being able to follow a storyline, even in a 30-minute sitcom, unable to really be aware of what's happening in that 30 minutes. Also, our ads can be very confusing to individuals with dementia. What is a commercial? What is the show? It's interrupting at a critical point of the show that's meant for you as a viewer to stay on and see what comes next. But to individuals with dementia, it just becomes very confusing and they can't quite tell the difference and follow, and it just gets frustrating. So we often hear of boredom because of hobbies like watching TV is challenging, but also they don't want to leave the house because they get other sorts of paranoia, or there's tons of reasons why they don't want to leave the house and be socially exhausted. So as much as you can, and as much as you're willing to, having others come into the house and socialize with them, we've found to be beneficial in helping that. And helping that engagement, again, helps the individual with dementia have a higher quality of life and a longevity of life, and can often help you as the care partner and caregiver. It does sometimes tie you to the house more than you would like to, but that's a big thing, inviting people in. And I know I said I was going to give one more, but here's another. These are like kind of the two most commons we hear because as we are in March now, but we just recently came out of the holiday seasons, is that holidays are really challenging, having large groups over, if you can have them over in smaller groups or over many days, because individuals with dementia, unfortunately, often don't realize that it's Christmas or New Year's or Hanukkah or coming up Easter, today, St. Patrick's Day. They don't remember those holidays. And often actually decorating and trying to remind them constantly that it is that holiday becomes just jarring to them, and it's not beneficial to try to tell them, no, today's St. Patrick's Day, that's why everything's green and we're gonna have everyone over for a big meal. It's better if you can do it in small groups, and unfortunately not decorate your whole house, because that change, they could then really not know that they're home because it looks so different than it did just a few days ago.
Wow. That's something that you just don't think about or wouldn't know unless you were educated on it.
Wow. Now, this is great information. Viewers, please chime in. Please put your thoughts, put your comments in the chat so we can definitely have conversation. We can come back. If you're watching this on replay, we will definitely come in and ask your questions. But this is great conversation that you can just come back and revisit at any time. This is things that if you are a caregiver, you're a professional caregiver, you can always learn. I love the green table. I love learning, continuing to learn, continuing to be open. This has been awesome information.
I have one last question. Now, here, music therapy is really, really good. Can you share with us why and what is music therapy? What does that look like? Just touch on that just a little bit.
Ooh, I do not know the science as to why music therapy is good. I do know it's beneficial for all ages. Again, like not to infantile individuals with Alzheimer's and dementia, but it literally shows benefits from infancy all the way through elderly, is that there's benefits to music. I don't know why, but I can tell you how to do it very easily at home, if that will answer your question enough. Definitely finding music that the individual found enjoying previously, starting there and just playing it. This is a common hobby that will replace people from watching TV because songs are shorter. And if you can get a CD or an album or get an ad-free streaming service that just allows just the music to play through, there's not that disjointing. Also, the brain, and it's one of our tips for actually preventing Alzheimer's and some forms of dementia. It does help if you learn how to play an instrument, and you can even learn how to play an instrument. You will not become, I can't guarantee that you'll become Elton John or an amazing piano player if you start learning once you're diagnosed, but you can learn how to play an instrument even post-diagnosed, and there are still benefits with that. So a piano or a guitar, a ukulele, a tambourine, whatever instrument you would like, that helps the brain so much with learning the instrument and just engaging that. Again, I am not a doctor or a scientist, and so I cannot explain why there are so many benefits to having a musical instrument, but there are many benefits. I also know I said guitar, ukulele. Those are some of the first most challenging ones to not be able to be played because, again, they require such fine motor, but more like tambourines or pianos or even xylophones can be played for longer because they require less fine motor dexterity. So those sorts of, if you have access to an instrument, that is great to just let the individual play it. It's not always going to sound great. Even if they were an amazing musician, pre-diagnosis, they're going to start to stumble and struggle, but that does really help and have great benefits. And again, just nourishes them internally, emotionally, fuels the soul, but listening to music that they've enjoyed as well is a great hobby to replace the TV watching.
Wow, this is good.
We have one more question from Miss Vanessa. She says her mom spit continuously. Is this normal or a part of the disease?
It can very much. So part of the brain deterioration, because I did see previously your mom was diagnosed in 2014, and I'm glad for the most part she's doing great. Your brain subconsciously has you swallowing your spit and your saliva coming out into your mouth. Your mouth produces a ton of spit and saliva all day long, but you're subconsciously swallowing it and clearing it out. Your mom's brain may no longer be subconsciously swallowing it out because it'll forget to do that at a certain part. And again, I'm not your mom's doctor, so I don't know for sure, but it definitely just depends on where her plaques and tangles are most prominent. That's why she could be doing great in other aspects, but struggling with swallowing her spit back. Or swallowing that saliva back, causing her need to spit constantly. And so that is unfortunately part of the disease and can be very typical in individuals with dementia. And I don't have a great solution besides giving her a spit cup to let her spit into, because she's going to forget to constantly need to swallow. And it'll feel like when you're at the dentist and they're spraying that water in and the little suction thing isn't suctioning fast enough. She'll forget the swallowing part.
Yeah.
I just want to spit it out.
Okay. Do we have any other more questions?
No, but this has been very helpful, especially the mirror comment suggestion about that was very helpful, Miss Gussie says. So yeah, it's been great.
Well, I do want to highlight that as Ashonda shared earlier, we're going to be doing the caregiver class later in June during Alzheimer's and Brain Health Awareness Month. And one of the courses in that is all about behaviors and how to work with them. It's a full hour-long session just about behaviors and how to work with the individual with dementia. So that's, we're very excited to have that happening in June. I also want to highlight if anyone needs specific support, again, the Alzheimer's Association has a 24/7 free hotline with social workers. They'll give you, you can call in crisis. You can also call not in crisis and just talk through how to do things. They're there. That number is 800-272-3900. And that's, again, a free helpline for individuals for care partners and individuals with Alzheimer's and other dementias, 800-272-3900.
Thank you. I think Jessica's putting that in the chat, so they'll have it in the chat as well. Awesome. All right. Is that any more questions before we come to a close?
No. All right. Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth. This has been great. Viewers, I hope you have enjoyed. I hope you have taken notes. Please make sure you share this on your platform. Please make sure you tag individuals that this would be beneficial to. This is a community. We are a community of individuals for support, caregiving, your caregiving needs, your caregiving support, free resources to help you navigate. Because listen, if you have not been in the caregiving world, it is a different world. And so you need support, you need resources, you need to know how you can best help your loved one. And so that's what you get right here on the Green Table Live talk show. So set your notifications, Every Monday, 6 p.m., we'll be right here on the Green Table Live Talk Show. But before we leave, let us just give Elizabeth a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you again so much.
Thank you all for having me. I appreciate sharing this information and answering questions. So,
yeah, we'll definitely have to come back before June.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'll definitely come back and answer more questions anytime.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
you.
Thank you. All right, viewers. So you've heard it here on the Green Table Live Talk Show. Any resource, any information, any tidbits, we're going to have the experts on. We're always on. We're going to have special guests coming in. And so listen, tune in, be here, get the information, and best help take care of your loved one.
And don't forget to share.
Share, share, share. All right. Well, that is it for today. We will see you right back here next Monday, 6 p.m. See you later.
Bye.